Hello, parents. Just want to review a little bit of what we discussed last week in our parent education class, our Google platform for products. I want to quickly take you through kind of the overview just so you can get a sense if you weren't able to be there last week when we went over this in person, to give you a sense of what your students are doing on a daily basis and what our teachers are providing for students. So, first and foremost, Google uh, has a number of products that we use on a regular basis, right? And so this is a Google slide giving away one of these questions that is coming up. Um, but in this Google slide, we're able to use an extension or an add-on called Pear Deck. And when teachers combine these two products, um, students are able to log in from their home computer or Chromebook, and they'll see this screen here. I'll take you through step by step what they're able to do. On the teacher side of it, obviously the teacher has control. The teacher can put a new prompt if they wish, but then they can just go through. Um, so the first thing is this is deleted response because I was practicing earlier. But if you go show you the student end of things, and this is what we did with parents the other night, just to kind of get them familiar with how this works, um, is that name all the Google products you're aware of. So on this end, a student can interact with the teachers and give responses. So a student might put in Gmail, they might put in YouTube, sites, slide, that's what I gave away earlier. There's Google Maps and navigation. So a student will input the response to that question, all the students in the class, and then what the teacher sees is just that response in real time. So it gives students an opportunity to interact. In classroom, there might be like pop-up questions and shouting out and raising of hands, but we can't do that online because it just sounds like a lot of noise. But with this Google Slides integrated with Pear Deck, we're able to simulate that or have really the same experience. So what is Google, just for our purposes? Google defines himself as a multinational, publicly traded organization built around the company's hugely popular search engine. So most of us now, just as vernacular, say, "Oh, I'm going to Google that. I'm going to Google this to get responses." Google has this massive collection of knowledge and information, and this search engine that goes with it, and they've integrated all these products. Um, they go on to say that Google's other enterprises include internet analytics, cloud computing, advertising technologies, web app browsing, and operating system development. So that really explains all the things that Google has to offer. So what does that really mean? So if we look at where Google is now, this is on one of their Google pages. They are a complete company, right? They have entertainment. They have these Google Assistant devices that will respond and speak. I mentioned maps. Um, Search is still a big part of what they do. It's kind of the foundation. They have an internet browser that is called Chrome. They do Google Translate, Maps, and the list just goes on and on. I'm going to scroll down, but just note that on YouTube, so every student, every Google account gets their own YouTube channel. Students can look at video, upload video, create channel, create uh, entertainment or knowledge information. It's a really valuable tool. And every student has their own Google account because we are in this G Suite for education. So we call it and refer to it as the .net. So a normal, like a regular Google account is a .com. Ours is .net. That's connected only to our network in our school. Um, and I'm just going to go down, and you can see all the Google products. Some we forget because it's so much a part of what we do. They have phones and Chromebooks and all kinds of computing. Um, and the great thing about Google products is that they all interact with one another. So it makes the platform for learning um, very seamless and easy. Here's the list of all the products they have, right? All these products that are available, and many of these we use. We often use Google Calendar, we use Chrome, we use the Google Chrome Store, Chromebook. Um, uh, which Forms is one that teachers use a lot. Google Earth is a great one for the classroom. Every student has a Google Drive where they can store everything. Of course, they all have a Gmail account, Google Classroom. But all of these products integrate with everything that we're doing on a daily basis. And YouTube Music now, and Google or OS Wear or Wear OS by Google is their watches software. So G Suite for Education is what we use to integrate all those products. Now, what students do a lot online is that they collaborate, because everybody's in their own house. This comes in really handy because students can collaborate with all of these products from home. So let's take a look at a Google Doc, and I think the question I put in is, we did this in class the other night. Type in the document your name, your student's name, and the age of your student, and your favorite food, right? So if I open that document, so this is what we have. So you can see that, parents put it all, and I think I said just put it anything. Zoom class with my granddaughter. Wow, this is large. And you can see each one of these lines is inputted by a different student. I recently just put in, this is very exciting. Well, you see it's underlined. I spelled it wrong, but I can right click and quickly correct it. So if I were to go on in this different account, here you can see that is the other browser that I'm using, and we can type in here, what did I say, right in, I'm 53 years old, right, my son is 25, my favorite food is lots of it, right? And if we go back to the other document, you can see, right, the other website where I'm accessing this. So students in real time, they can research together, they can collaborate on a project together, and it's all saved here for always. That's the great thing about Google products, is they automatically save into the Google Drive, which is the receptacle for all these products. And so you can see how that could be very, very useful, especially in an online environment. The other product that we talked about is Google Sheets, and this is just another example. In our parent class, we did breakout groups, so we would be in Zoom, everyone from their own home, and Zoom allows the teacher to put students in groups of 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever, and they end up in the same grouping, and they can get a link to, in this case, a Google Sheet, right? And this is what I had parents do. And so the teacher might say, well, let me go back, because the teacher will say, okay, choose a scribe, someone to type in the notes, choose a representative, somebody that will share out when we come back to the main room, choose a timekeeper, because these are always timed, and choose a moderator, so somebody in this particular group of 4, let's say, that is kind of in charge and taking the lead. And so what I instructed parents to do is first give your group a name. And so we have Los Lakers, Scholarly Group, Los Angeles, Yellow, Confused Parents, which I think that's many of us, Awesome Parents, which is probably even more of us, and GG Parents, right? Those are the names that we came up with. And they were instructed for 2 minutes on each question. So what is the most frustrating thing about distance learning? One group came up with bandwidth issues, too much homework, social anxiety, that online is hard. So all these parent groups were able to meet in groups of 4 or 5 together, but this document gathered that information all at once. And this was, 5 days ago, and it's still here. This will be available as long as we need it or want it. In a class situation, a teacher then can look in when they're in Google Classroom and see what group and what students actually inputted information. Again, a very useful tool. And just one other thing that we did not get to the other night, because is that at the end there's this quiz, right, that's embedded, that each student could take by themselves, and this was the quiz, and teachers can use, and this is a Google form, it's another Google product that interacts, right? So teachers can in one Google Sheet can have students respond to questions and then take a quiz. It could be about what they just talked about, or in this case, this was kind of a quiz about the things that we had talked to up until this point, like which is not a Google product, spelling error. So Docs, Sheets, Hangouts, and Gmail are all Google products. Word is a Microsoft product. Giving members of breakout groups allows for students to start discussions. Yeah, it's a lot less intimidating with 4 than if there were 30 in a Zoom classroom. And then it just asks parents on a scale of 1 to 5. 5 being I'm completely comfortable. How comfortable are you with Google? Well, I'm pretty comfortable. Yours might vary. You hit submit, and that's it. And then the teacher then can view the score, right? So I did something with the key that made this not a good score, but you can see that the teacher has an easy way then of putting this in the gradebook, and students have a really easy way of taking that quiz. Again, this is another one of those interactive kind of things. So teachers will put students in groups in these breakout rooms, and they will come back to this slide and ask a question. So take a minute, share how it felt working collaboratively in breakout rooms. And if I go to where I'm a student, right, I can type in, it makes it easy to connect to each other in real time, right? And so that's what the student sees and student's able to do, and then the teacher then is able to see the response on the other side of it. So and teachers then can respond to those individual responses as well. This is the quiz that I was talking to you about. So it also can be used. If I go back to my student, you can embed it in, or teacher can embed it in to the Pear Deck slide, and that will, the student can just take it. They'd have to log in, and they would be logged in already in their account, and they can take the quiz that way at that point in time. And that was pretty much it. This is it's difficult, because I wasn't able, obviously, to put you into a Zoom because this is a video, but just to give you an idea of what teachers are doing to use Google products and the platform so that students can engage with the teacher, engage with one another, and get a sense of what it's like in the classroom. These are going to be tools that we're going to use throughout this year. Even when we go into a hybrid model, because there will still be an element that's online. There'll still be an element of need in terms of maintaining 6 feet of distance. So this becomes a way to interact with students even when they're in the same classroom, with social distancing. A teacher can put this screen, in the front, as students have it in front of them as well. A lot of questions obviously came up about reopening last week and about our tier system. You should have received a parent square from Mr. Nert with the latest and greatest information about that process, with videos showing kind of what school looks like now, what are some of the processes that will be in place when we do get word that we are able to return to in-person instruction. As of the date of this recording, which is October 19, we do not have a date yet, but we are anticipating, in the coming weeks, somewhere depending on our preparation, community spread, and filling those positions, long-term subs for teachers that are going to be out because of COVID, and obviously the response we get from you parents about your eagerness or hesitancy about returning to in-person. So there's a lot of factors involved, and we'll give you that information obviously as soon as we have it. A lot of this in the last 6-7 months obviously is the answers will come when we get to that point, and that's where we are. So hopefully this has been helpful when your students start talking to you about their Google Classroom and how they're interacting. This is a good way to start a conversation. Tell me about how your teacher built a lesson. Did they use a Pear Deck? Did they use a Google Slide or Sheets or Google Doc or Google Draw, Google Earth? Might be in a history class. You can't do field trips, but you can actually go to places virtually with the Google products. It's a great place to start a conversation with your student about how and what they're learning. So again, I hope this is helpful. Look for announcements about our next class for parents, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.